So I told you you had to soak your soy curls and reconstitute them, but there's a way around that. So I wanted to show you another recipe using my favorite appliance, the Instant Pot. We're going to use soy curls that we have not soaked because basically we're going to reconstitute them in the broth inside of the Instant Pot. This method works really well if you're making a soup, a stew, something like that. You can use your Instant Pot, you can do it in the slow cooker, or you could do it on the stove top. Really, you could do it in a Dutch oven as well. Anything you do in a slow cooker, you could do in a Dutch oven. But I'm going to make kind of this rustic chicken stew. So I've got about 2 cups of chopped potatoes and about 1.5 cups of chopped carrots, or really they're in half moons. They're not really chopped. I'm going to use about a half a bag of Butler soy curls, which is the other half of the bag I started using. For seasonings, we're still going to keep that nutritional yeast, which is really going to give that chickeny flavor, but I'm not going to put the nutritional yeast in at the beginning. Instead, I'm going to use it at the end to preserve those B vitamins. I'm going to use some poultry seasoning, a little bit of onion and garlic powder because I'm being lazy. You could saute onions and garlic in here and then do what I'm going to do. Or decide today's an easy cooking day for me and do it this way. So I wanted to show you 2 recipes that you really can make when you don't want to cook. Because that's where the problem is. When we're like, woohoo, let's put the music on, let's have a glass of wine or a mocktail and enjoy time in the kitchen. Those aren't the days that are hard. Those aren't the days that are a problem. When it's like, oh, I'm so tired, I don't want to do anything. That's when it's hard. So I could have used carrots that were already shredded. If you didn't want to cut up the potatoes, I peeled the potatoes, which is always a chore to me, but mine were kind of a little icky. They weren't perfect, so I wanted to peel them. If you have like some young potatoes, don't peel them. Just quarter them and toss them on in, right? Let's make this as easy as possible. Okay, so I've just added everything in here together. They've got 4 cups of water. I just upped the water. Added the potatoes and the carrots. Everything's covered up nicely, and we're going to cook that for about 10 minutes. Okay, depending on what kind of Instant Pot you have, if you look over here, you can kind of see that it's saying preheating. So you can kind of see the steps along. If you got the Duo, you can't, but I do highly recommend the Duo. I think it's the best all-around Instant Pot. It does yogurt and different things like that I think are kind of important. But it's usually the cheapest. Over Black Friday, the Pro was exactly the same price as the Duo. So if you get a sale like that, go for the Pro, is my opinion. So what I do when I'm cooking something like this is I leave out my seasonings, because once this cooks, I'm going to taste it. We might need to add some more salt. We'll add some pepper. I'm going to add the nutritional yeast. But what if I taste it and I'm like, well, I don't think that is as oniony as I thought it was going to be. I could add some more onion powder. I can add some more poultry seasoning. So remember, at the end of cooking, tasting is just as important as tasting all along the way, because maybe my onion powder's gotten old, right? Maybe it worked the last time I made it 6 months ago. It was perfect at this exact measurement, though I tend not to make exact measurements. And I would just like to say, just with both of these recipes, soy curls, and just cooking in general, try not to stress yourself out. Really, it's just about putting a little bit of love into what you're doing. And if you hate cooking, that can be hard, but if you find something that you know you love to eat, and it isn't hard to make, that's going to make your life so much better. And if you don't love to cook because you're just a little unsure, the more you cook, the easier it gets. The more you're going to be able to like make these judgment calls and go, well, I know she said to do a half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, but I love smoke. I'm going to put a teaspoon in, and to feel confident about that. So I have all the faith in the world in you. I know that if you choose to cook soy curls or not. Another thing with these 2 recipes, if you have a soy allergy, you could easily use chickpeas instead. Except in here, we would not add extra water. We're adding extra liquid to reconstitute the soy curls. But with the fajitas, another thing you could do is slices of portobello mushroom, tofu in cubes, right? We could use drained, shredded young jackfruit. So any recipe can kind of be exchanged with something that you have. So if you're like, that looks really good, but I don't want to wait a week to get my soy curls, then you can still use these recipes to do other things. Be sure to look into Kathy's Cooking Club. We have live cooking classes twice a month, and we do 4 to 5 recipes in every one. And you can attend live when we're filming them, or you can watch them later. There's no, if you've got a busy life, fit it in where you fit it in. Also, when you join Kathy's Cooking Club, you get access to all the videos that I've filmed in the past 3 years for the club. So you can get that at kathyhester.podia.com. So that's kathyhester.podia.com. So Kathy's Cooking Club is $50 a month, but you can purchase individual classes for $35. So go in, and I have 2 soy curl classes in there now, and they are just amazing. And we're going to have way more soy curl recipes coming up, along with things like how to make your own tofu, how to make your own sauces, just all kinds of things. So we do everything from comfort food to staples to, I don't know, things with oats and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll see you over at kathyhester.podia.com. Okay, so now you can see that the beeper beeped, it's done, and we can release the pressure. So I'm going to move it a little bit this way, see? And don't be scared, it's going to be easy. Okay, with this particular model, it just has an up and down. So see, I can let the steam out that way. Usually you have like a little, it's round and there's a little lever and you can press it. That's another way. This one releases it really, really fine, whereas the normal one does not. So that's one of the reasons why I like this Instant Pot. So you can kind of see how fine the mist is. If you're using a Duo or another model, it's not going to be this fine, and so water is going to go places as you're releasing it. So I recommend that you wait about 10 minutes, so let it kind of keep warm for 10 minutes, and then use that lever until you start seeing some bigger drops of water come out. So the main reason I like this model is this, because when I'm doing classes or demos, you'll see now, I mean, it's still taking a while for the steam to release, but if I'm doing it that other way, it takes twice as long. Okay, so you can see this dropped. In this model, if you're using the Luxe, it actually doesn't come past the hole. When it comes to pressure, you have to kind of get used to it, and it may not be red, depending on which one. This lets you know really easily which one it is, up or down. Okay, we're going to get some steam. All right, that's looking pretty good. Take a smell. Okay, and see, I think this is pretty good right here at 4 cups. So you can see how the chicken got really big. And we'll smush a potato to the side. Yeah, the potatoes are done. If this is too thin for me, there are a couple things I can do. When I put some of the nutritional yeast in, that's going to help thicken it. I could also smash some of these potatoes. So there's 2 different ways, or I could switch my Instant Pot to warm, and then I could just let this cook off. That's another way to do it too, because every time we see that steam, that's what's going on. Okay, so we haven't put in the nutritional yeast, and I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup, which is about 4 tablespoons, I think. And again, we're not looking for exact, we're just looking for tasty. That's what's important to me. I'm also going to go ahead and put a couple of pinches of pepper, because this is kind of old-fashioned food, and in the South, where I live in Durham, North Carolina, That means it's probably going to be a little peppery. Then we'll mix this in and see how the nutritional yeast also kind of thickened that up a little bit. And see, there's a particularly large piece of potato. I'll squish that. Just kind of, yeah, this is kind of the way I want my chicken stew to be. Now, if you'd rather this color be a little more yellow, you could add a little bit of turmeric. Let me get some tasting spoons and let's see what adjustments we might make. Okay, so first I'm just going to kind of taste this broth. It definitely tastes chickeny. It's definitely reminiscent of chicken. I think I would like to have another 2 tablespoons of nooch in here. So a 1/4 cup plus 1/8 cup. As I'm tasting too, I think I'm going to put a little more garlic. I'm probably putting in about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. I'm going to put just a dash of onion powder, probably like a 1/16 of a teaspoon. I think I'd like a little more thyme, so I'm probably going to put in another teaspoon of thyme and like 1/2 teaspoon of marjoram. And I'm guesstimating, but I'm used to the palm of my hand and guesstimating that way. I could add a little more poultry spice too, but I don't want it to get too sagey. I don't want it to taste like Thanksgiving, right? I just want it to be a little more reminiscent of a chickeny stew. And you get in there and smell that. It smells really good. Okay. I think it may need a little more salt too. Oh, that's really good now. I'm going to add probably another 1/2 teaspoon of salt to it. When we're looking at potatoes, oats, soy curls, things like that, I feel like they really kind of take in that flavor, that salt, and sometimes it needs a little bit more. But I mean, this is not food to go on the front page of a magazine, but it's good home eating. And really that took very little effort. We're looking at something like this. So it's pretty thick. It's got, you know, there's some juiciness to it, but I kind of wanted that. And if you wanted to be really lazy, again, you could use new potatoes. You just rinse and quarter, so you don't have to do any peeling. So again, you don't feel good? Use some shredded carrots or those carrot coins you can buy already cut up. You know, just get what you have to get and put in here. Or don't put in potatoes. Maybe just put in a drained can of chickpeas to kind of add that volume and fullness for you. So take this recipe and really think of it as a base for your own experimentation. We could have made it kind of like a beefy stew too, and instead of using like nutritional yeast, I would have used mushroom powder or vegan beef broth, which is usually based on mushroom powder and soy sauce. So you could take the soy curls after they're reconstituted and put a little soy sauce on there to darken them up a little bit. You've got a lot to work with, and I hope you really enjoy it. So again, hopefully I'll see you over at plantbasedinstantpot.com or healthyslowcooking.com, or you'll get to be in my next class at Kathy's Cooking Club. And you can get there at kathyhester.podia.com. Thanks, and have an amazing rest of your week.